Namaste Narasingaya. Praladadaine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatanka nakhalaye. Ito Narsingo Parato Narsingo. Yato yami tato Narsingo. Baire Narsinga Ridaye Narsinga. Narasingamadim Sharanam Prapate. Tava Kalakamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadita Naravirupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jaya Narsimhadev, 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 Jaya Narsimhadev. Prahlad Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. जय जय श्री नरसिम्हा भगवान की जय जय श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय जय श्री प्रभुपाद की हरे कृष्ण प्रभु.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Jani. Very beautiful prayers. Hare Krishna, Satish Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Bhuvaneshwari Mataji. Hare Krishna, Jill. Very nice to see you after a long time. And Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Haridev. How are you?
Krishna.
Very nice, very nice. See, your friend has just now sang Narsingha prayers. Have you heard?
I heard Dhyani singing Narsingha.
Who is? Very good, very good. Super. Yeah. If I ask you, you have to sing next time. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Whenever I see you on screen, I may ask you to sing also. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You take Jani as inspiration. Okay.
Okay.
Prabhuji, it is a reverse way actually. She has taken an inspiration from him.
Of course, it's mutual actually. Inspiration should be mutual. No? So we need to inspire from others, and others will inspire from us, like that. So thanks, Jill. Thank you for joining. Okay, so let me share my screen. We are discussing chapter 4. Okay, let me share my screen, then I will. So, can you see the screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so in our last session on
No,
Monday, so in our last session on Monday, we discuss the points how devotees, are the, what are the qualities of a devotee. Okay, what exactly they do. Okay, what exactly is their consciousness. Okay, that is what actually Krishna explained. So what exactly Krishna explained, if we see quickly. So one who understood to be the full knowledge, whose very endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification, he is said by sages to be worker for whom reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Understand? Those who have this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, okay, what happens? Okay, if they understood properly and if they implement properly, they will be away from sense gratification. Yeah, and all reactions of work will be burnt by knowledge. Okay, and of course, we discussed more on unattachment, if you remember. Yeah, so what these people do, abandoning all attachments to the results of activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Okay, I explained clearly that Krishna is repeating this word, like all kinds of undertaking. Okay, so just like any other person do, devotees will also do all kinds of undertaking. And of course, then we discussed about the bare necessities, okay, in deep, and then how they react, or how they, what is their consciousness. Okay, they accept whatever comes on way in their life, and they are free from duality, and they are free from envy also, envy and pride. Yeah, and they're steady in both success and failure. Again, here also Krishna is saying all the performing all actions. Understand? So we discuss in detail about, I mentioned also the point that we should train our kids particularly. Failures are the stepping stones to success. Okay, but it is not possible for anyone leading a life without failure. Yes, small or big, failures will be there. Okay, but when failures come in our life, how to face, that is very, very important. How to face with courage, that is important. Okay, so we should train ourselves, we should train our children also. As long as our efforts are sincere, our endeavor is sincere, sometimes we may need to face failures also, but don't get depressed. Understand? So take it as a challenge, because sometimes the failures may be unbearable failures. Understand? Okay, but still, all like are miseries. Okay, whatever it is. Yeah, I heard in one lecture, like I forgot the place in India where the scientists work. Of course, there are so many places. I think Gauranga Prabhu mentioned it. Okay, there are few scientists, when their experiments got failed, they committed suicide. Understand? Yeah, because and all these scientists were from IITs. Okay, studying in very highly prestigious organizations, and they got very highly prestigious. as a scientist, yeah, in ISRO or in different places. Gauranga Prabhu mentioned, when their experiments failed, there are few scientists who committed suicide. Understand? So that's why success is okay. Again, as I mentioned again, okay, we should not take success onto our head. We should be grounded. That is very, very important. Okay. But when failure comes, we should be very, very careful. Should not take too much, too extreme decisions. Understand? And then, yeah, a person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities. That's why I clearly mentioned, don't get repent. Okay. Our near and dear may go away from us. Okay. Because you are a Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Our friends, our relatives, our close family members, they may not like, so, but don't get repent for these things, because ultimately Krishna is the one, whoever whatever say, Krishna is the one who is the ultimate protector. Gaura Gopala Prabhu mentioned, when he took Krishna consciousness as full-time brahmachari, full-time devotee, there is a huge resistance in his family and in his relatives. Okay. Anyway, then he became, very wonderful devotee, and once he had a program in his house, and he invited all his relatives. Yeah. And since he knew, he invited, one of the senior devotee, and the senior devotee is explaining in the class, like, if in a family, if there is one devotee practices perfectly, 7 generations before and 7 generations after will be delivered. Okay. So that is what the senior devotee in his lecture mentioned. And after the program, all the relatives are coming, and he is expecting, okay, this is very wonderful movement, we will also take part of Krishna consciousness. That's what he is expecting, at least 1 or 2 from his very huge family, so many, big family. He is expecting like that. But everyone is coming to him and saying, see what Maharaj mentioned. In a family, if there is one pure devotee, 7 generations before and 7 generations after will be delivered. Practice well, become pure. You got it? So that we will be delivered. Understand? Like that. Okay. So when the time comes, the same people will, think of you. I used to go to North up before. I think 4 or 5 years I went. Every second Saturday I used to go there, and there is a big community. Many of them are doctors. Gita class. Like that, 5 years I went. There is one lady, I mentioned this example also. So during this Gita class, okay, they have a separate program for kids. Someone else will take some, some lessons to kids. Everyone is very attentive while I was speaking. But one lady is, always unstable. She speaks to others, she goes out, she comes back, like that. She doesn't show much interest, but she comes with her family and all. And she never asked any questions also. After the class, generally, people comes and asks us questions, like that. But she never asked. And one of the member mentioned she is not much spiritual, like that. So because they thought, I may feel offended, or I may not be happy. So that's why they said, please bear with her. She's not so, much spiritual, like that. I said, okay, that's fine. And one day, to my surprise, she came to me and said, Panditji, please pray for me. And I said, okay, we will definitely pray. But why you are saying, you also pray to Krishna Krishna, pray, you also chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, like that. And then it says, okay, I can chant, I can pray, but it is powerful if you pray. But why you are asking? And she is saying, I am contesting from for the general elections from conservatives, on behalf of Conservative Party, I am contesting in the coming elections. Okay, you please pray for my victory. Like that. So when such things come, naturally people will remember Krishna or his devotees. Yeah, like that. But of course, we need to surrender voluntarily. What I am saying is, those who may not like you today, but they will think of you tomorrow when that need comes. When that need comes, or when they are in misery. Like that. So don't repent. Don't repent. This is very, very important. Okay. Now, okay, from 25 onwards, let us continue from 25. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them. Is it recording? Did I start? Yeah, I think. Is it recording? Can you see recording?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Okay. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them. And some offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. And in 26, some sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. And others sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of senses. If you remember, I mentioned this point. What exactly is this word sacrifice? Okay. Any little task you do for Krishna is yajna, is a sacrifice. Understand? Don't think that sacrifice means only fire sacrifice. Okay. Having some yajna kunda, fire coming, priests chanting mantras, and you pour the oil. Okay. This setup is the only fire sacrifice like that. No, don't. Okay. Yajna, any service that pleases Krishna is yajna. Right now I am speaking the instructions of Krishna. You are hearing the instructions of Krishna. That's a sacrifice. That's yajna. You are all participating in an yajna like that. And we say Sankirtan yajna. When we chant the holy names, Sankirtan yajna. Understand? Like that. So, first here Krishna is saying, some yogis perfectly worship demigods by offering different sacrifices to them. And some offer sacrifices in the fire of Supreme Brahman. If you remember, Krishna mentioned like different demigods will give different necessities to Jiva. So Jiva must have the gratitude, out of gratitude and to please the demigods, they do some fire sacrifices, and ask them to provide the necessities. Okay, so many fire sacrifices are recommended in Vedas. Understand? It is there. Yajna, so many yajnas are recommended in Vedas. And we know the most, very famous pastime of Govardhan festival we are going to celebrate next month. Yeah. Indra Puja, regularly Nanda Maharaj and the Vrindavan Vasis, they do Indra Puja, but Krishna said don't do it. Okay, that one. Okay. So these 5 sacrifices are mentioned in our Vedas, how to please different demigods. But I mentioned the point, but if you please Krishna, naturally all these demigods will be pleased. Prabhupada mentioned, if you pour water to the root, the whole tree will flourish. Like that. So Krishna is the root. Understand? So Krishna here explaining how different people, okay, act in different ways. So some yogis, they please demigods by some fire sacrifices, and some yogis, okay, they please the Supreme Brahman. Means Lord Vishnu is a Yajna Bhokta. We call Lord Vishnu as Yajna Bhokta. Understand? He is the receiver of all results. Okay. We offer to Lord Vishnu. Any Yajna. If we understand the mantras says, okay, offering the result to Lord Vishnu. And some, they sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. What exactly this means? See, let us read, what exactly Prabhupada explained here. The members of 4 divisions of human life, namely Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasi, we know these things, are all meant to become perfect yogis or transcendentalists. Okay, all 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. These are 4 ashramas, okay, and 4 varnas also. All of them are meant to become the perfect devotee. Since human life is not meant for our enjoying sense gratification like animals, the 4 orders of human life are so arranged that one may become perfect in spiritual life. Brahmacharis means the students under the care of bona fide spiritual master control the mind by abstaining sense gratification. This controlling mind starts from Brahmachari ashram. I have given the example in the last session. This Brahmachari means this girl named Yoshna, who is like a Brahmachari, means unmarried girl, who is a student. She won't eat onion garlic chips because she was very hungry, but she controlled her mind by thinking Srila Prabhupada's example of thunderbird. Understand? So she controlled her sense gratification. She controlled her mind from sense gratification. Okay. A brahmachari hears only words concerning to Krishna consciousness, hearing the basic principle of understanding. Therefore, brahmachari engages fully in harir namanu kirtanam, right? Chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. He restrains himself from vibrations of material sounds, and his hearing is engaged in the transcendental sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. In the same way, Grihasthas, householders, they have some license for sense gratification because they are married. Okay? But with great restraint. So, they engaged in sexual intercourse only to produce children. That's it. Not for sense gratification. So, brahmacharis like that, Grihasthas, even though they have the facility to enjoy unlimited sex, uncontrolled, but this is how they restrain. Okay. So, sex life, intoxication, and meat eating are general tendencies of human society. But a regulated householder doesn't indulge in unrestricted sex life and other sense gratification. So marriage and the principles of religious life is therefore current in all civilized human society because that is the way for restricted sex life. So these are all sacrifices, isn't it? This restricted unattached sex life is also called as yajna. Exactly, Prabhupada mentioned the same. Understand? This restricted unattached sex life is also a kind of yajna because the restricted householder sacrifices his general tendency towards the sense gratification for a higher transcendental life. Understand? So, that's why, as I mentioned, every action in Krishna consciousness is sacrifice. Okay, that is what this means. Some sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control. Okay, by controlling their mind, okay, they fully engage the senses in hearing about Krishna. And others, means the regulated house, sacrifice the objects of senses in the fire of senses. So, unadulterated brahmacharis and regulated householders. Krishna is talking about these two. How they implement, they follow the process of restricting their senses. Now, 27. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of mind and senses offer the functions of all senses and of the life breath as oblations into fire of controlled mind. Means the same. Okay, fire of controlled mind. So generally sacrifice, fire sacrifice, there will be fire. Understand? So these austerities, these restrictions, these regulations that are recommended are like a fire. Okay, so the fire of, that is why Krishna used the word, the fire of controlled mind. So the explanation for 26 and 27 are same. Now, 28. Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. Eightfold mysticism, I sent you the Ashtanga Yoga articles. I hope you have gone through that one. You will understand what exactly is Ashtanga Yoga and what is the difference between Bhakti Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. Okay, so having accepted strict vows. So these are the strict vows. We follow, 4 regulative principles. They are strict vows. See what exactly Srila Prabhupada explained here for your benefit. So, these sacrifices may be fitted into various divisions. There are persons who are sacrificing their possessions in the form of various kinds of charities. We discussed many times. Okay, people, some sort of who are in mode of goodness, who have some spiritual inclination, they do charity. In India, the rich mercantile community or princely orders open various kinds of charitable institutions, like Dharmasala, Annakshetra, Annasala, or Atidhisala, Anadhalaya means for old people, orphanages for old people, Vidyapita, okay, for poor students, Gurukuls or schools for poor students, Anadhalaya for orphans, yeah, or old age homes for old people, like that. So these things they maintain and they do some service to people. In other countries too, there are many hospitals, old age homes, similar charitable foundations meant for distributing food, education, and medical treatment free to the poor. All these charitable activities are called Dravyamaya Yajna. As I mentioned, it is also Yajna. There are others who, for higher elevation in life or for promotion to higher planets within the universe, voluntarily accept many kinds of austerities, such as Chandrayana or Chaturmasya. Our devotees also, many devotees, they follow Chaturmasya Vrata. Okay, these processes entail severe vows for conducting life under certain rules. For Chaturmasya, actually, devotees who follow, they know the 4 months, in each month, they don't eat certain type of food. Okay, and they don't eat twice, like only once a day, like that. Okay, such sacrifice of comforts is called Tapomaya Yajna. Tapomaya, it's a tapasya, it's austerity, isn't it? Since it is austerity, it is called tapomaya yajna. The charities explained here, dharma shastra, they use their money for that one. So that's why dravyamaya yajna. Dravya means money. Okay, they spend their money on that one. Here, they tapomaya yajna. So they sacrifice. They follow these austerities, strict austerities, like eating only once, okay, and even like so and so month don't eat, like that. Okay, so that's why it is called tapomaya. It's austerity. There are still others who engage themselves in different kinds of mystic yogas, like Patanjali system, or Hatha yoga, or Ashtanga yoga. So what happens if someone follow, these type of yogas, they will get this power. Again, in that articles, they mentioned, by following these yogas, we have given the example of Vishwamitra. He got the mystic power. He can create anything. He can travel anywhere within this material world. Understand? So he created Trishanku Swarga because he got that mystic power through his Ashtanga yoga, like that. So this is one type of sacrifice, yajna. So all these practices are called yoga yajna. Understand? Whatever you do, if you have money, plenty of money, dravyamaya yajna, spend it. If you follow austerities, tapomaya yajna. Okay? If you perform Ashtanga yoga or Hatha yoga and get some mystic powers, that is the one type of yajna. So all these type of practices are called yoga yajna. Okay, sacrifice for certain type of perfection in the material world. What is the benefit by following these things? They will get certain type of perfection in the material world. Okay, so within the material world, they will get some perfection. And there are others who engage themselves in the study of different Vedic literatures, specifically Upanishad, Vedanta Sutras, Sankhya philosophy. All these are called Swadhyaya Yajna. Okay, I will send you notes anyway, when I prepare notes in this type of yajna. Swadhyaya yajna. In my friends group or to some of my relatives, when I say read Bhagavad Gita, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, like that, if I say, they are spiritually inclined. They talk more about learning Sanskrit, learn Vedas, Upanishads. Okay, they are more interested on that one. Different types of Upanishads, reading different Upanishads, all 4 Vedas, like that. So it's called Swadhyaya Yajna, or engagement in sacrifice of studies. So they fully engage themselves in these, studies. So all these yogis are faithfully engaged in different types of sacrifice and are seeking higher states of life. Okay, definitely they will achieve something higher. There is no doubt. But what Prabhupada is ending, Krishna consciousness, however, is different from these. This is very, very important. That's why some people don't like. Some people don't like. Krishna consciousness, however, is different from this because it is a direct service to Krishna, Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness cannot be attained by any of the above mentioned types of sacrifices, but can be attained only by the mercy of Lord and his bona fide devotees. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is transcendental. So please don't misunderstand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. These people, they don't do after. Of course, some devotees, they follow Chaturmasya. Some devotees, they don't follow Chaturmasya. Some devotees, they fast on Ekadasis. Some devotees, they take Ekadasi Prasadam. Okay, yes, different people do. Okay, different things. Of course, we have Bhakti Shastra, different types of courses. Okay, which is Swadhyaya Yajna. Understand? So Ashtanga Yoga, we don't do Ashtanga Yoga, but we do Bhakti Yoga. So that's why, as I mentioned, Krishna consciousness is superset. Krishna consciousness includes all these types of, sacrifices. Okay, but in relation with Krishna and in the direct relation to Krishna. It's not indirect relation. It's okay. I will worship a demigod, and the demigod is a devotee of Lord. It's not like that. This is a direct, service to Krishna. That's why this is transcendental, and we don't expect anything. Understand? I hope you understood this thing. This is very, very important. People are very much attracted to these type of yajnas. Of course, definitely it is good. There is no doubt. But Krishna consciousness is transcendental, okay, and above all these things, okay. So this is one thing which we need to understand carefully. Okay, 29. Still others. So here, Dravyamaya Yajna, Tapomaya Yajna, or Swadhyaya Yajna, these type of yajnas Krishna mentioned in 29. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance, practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into incoming and incoming breath into outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others curtailing the eating process, offering the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. This is meditation. Like, of course, in Ashtanga Yoga also they do. Again, if you read those articles, Ashtanga Yoga, half closed eyes, yeah, and sitting in a secluded place, and either in Padmasana or standing on one leg, different asanas are recommended for Ashtanga Yoga also. And they control the breath. Okay, so they control breath. So by controlling like that, okay, they will be in some sort of trance. Originally, closing these eyes and meditate upon an object. That is what they need to do. What is that object? Actually, the ultimate object, the supreme object, Krishna. They need to meditate upon the Shyama Sundar form of Krishna. But some people meditate upon the voidness, the Brahma Jyoti, some sort of light. Some people meditate upon that one, and they say that is supreme, like that. Okay. But the key point here is, this is something, which people follow. One section of people, they follow. 30. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become clean of sinful reactions, and having tasted the nectar of results of the sacrifices, they advance toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. So whatever, either this meditation process, okay, or the ones explained in 28, they will advance little further comparing to their current position. Okay, toward the supreme eternal atmosphere. Let us read what Srila Prabhupada explained here for our benefit. From the foregoing explanation of different types of sacrifice, namely sacrifice of one's possessions, study of Vedas or philosophical doctrines, and performance of yoga system, it is found that common aim of all is to control the senses. Understand? Common aim is controlling senses. Sense gratification is the root cause of material existence. That is the reason controlling senses is important. Therefore, unless and until one is situated on a platform apart from sense gratification, there is no chance of being elevated to the eternal platform of full knowledge, full bliss, and full life. This platform is the eternal atmosphere, the Brahman atmosphere. All the above mentioned sacrifices help one to become cleansed of the sinful reactions of material existence. By this advancement in life, not only does one become happy and opulent in this life, but also at the end, he enters into the eternal kingdom of God, either merging into impersonal Brahman or associating with Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Understand? So, those who meditate upon the Brahma Jyoti, they will merge into Brahma Jyoti. Okay, definitely better position, better situation than the current position, but it is not ultimate. Or associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or they enter into the spiritual world. Brahma Jyoti means spiritual sky. Understand? Either they merge into spiritual sky, or they enter into the spiritual world and serve the Lord personally. Like this. Okay, one of these things will happen. And of course, otherwise, whoever demigod they worship, they enter into that planet. Okay, so key point here is, there is some advancement by following these sacrifices. But the ultimate perfection, the ultimate destination is the spiritual world. So after explaining all these things, okay, so if you remember, why Krishna explaining all these things? Because in this chapter, Krishna is explaining, see, my dear Arjuna, why I am talking this thing, it's not first time I am giving you this knowledge. Previously, I have given to Sun God to Manu, Manu to Ikshaku, it happened. And then Arjuna asked the question like, how is it possible Sun God is senior to you? Okay, so conversation of this chapter started like this. Then Krishna explaining, so you and me passed through many births, but I can remember all these things, but you cannot. And then slowly he is explaining about the importance of the prescribed duties. Yeah. So like that, the conversation started and ended here. Finally, particularly here saying, "Oh, best of Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of next?" Okay, after explaining all these things, Krishna is asking, without sacrifice, one can never live happily on this planet. Okay. So that's why this is sacrifices. Again, sacrifices means, remember, Krishna quoted many types of sacrifices. Okay. But any service that pleases Krishna is the sacrifice that helps us. And Krishna is saying here, all these different types of sacrifices are approved by Vedas, I mentioned, isn't it? The Ashtanga Yoga, approved by Vedas. In Vedas, so many sacrifices are given. Okay. And these charities, okay. And Swadhyaya Yajna, all these things, in Vedas, in 4 Vedas, in a gradual, as a gradual step. Yeah. In a particular sequence. These are all explained. And all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, you will become liberated. Understand? So that's why performing one's prescribed duty and performing sacrifices to please Krishna is very, very important. Krishna is saying again, "O chastiser of enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. After all, O son of Prudha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge." The problem is, that's why whenever Krishna is saying these things, people will misinterpret it. Okay. All these sacrifices culminate transcendental knowledge. See, Prabhupada purport, we'll read Prabhupada purport for better understanding. What Prabhupada is explaining here, the purpose of sacrifice is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge. Actually, what is the purpose of sacrifice? To understand and to be self-realized. That is the purpose. Okay. So, to come to a states of complete knowledge, means spiritual knowledge, then to gain release from material miseries. By performing a type of sacrifice, the soul should get released from the material miseries. And ultimately, to engage in loving transcendental service to Supreme Lord. See here, ultimately, this is the ultimate thing. If this highlighted bit is not there, because people do sacrifice, okay, and they will advance a little up to certain level. But this ultimate step, the final step of engaging in the service of the Lord, if it is not there, then it is incomplete. Understand? So that's why within brackets, Prabhupada has written Krishna consciousness. What exactly is this? Engaging in loving transcendental service to Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness. Nonetheless, there is a mystery about all these different activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Okay, what is that mystery? Sacrifices sometimes take different forms according to the particular faith of the performer. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifices should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge or without attainment of knowledge. Sacrifices remain on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. Understand? Very beautiful words. Very beautiful words. Okay? Because people will elevate to certain level by following, by giving charities, yeah, Dravyamaya Yajna or Swadhyaya Yajna, yeah, or Tapomaya Yajna. Okay? They will elevate to certain level. Okay? But it is not, it is not the ultimate. That is what exactly Prabhupada is explaining. When one's faith reaches to the stage of transcendental knowledge, no matter what type of yajna you do, Dravyamaya, Tapomaya, Ashtanga Yoga, Swadhyaya, no type of sacrifice you do, make sure your faith reaches to the stage of transcendental knowledge. It should reach to the stage of transcendence. Then only you will be advanced. Otherwise, okay, you may do it selflessly, but if we don't have this knowledge of serving Krishna is ultimate, if we don't have that knowledge, then, bestow no spiritual benefit. Okay, materially, we may gain something, but it bestow no spiritual benefit. So that's why real knowledge culminates Krishna consciousness, the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. Without the elevation of knowledge, sacrifices are simply material activities. See, that is the reason understanding Bhagavad Gita is very, very important. there are so many sincere souls who are really inclined in spirituality, but they don't know what is the right path. That's why understanding Bhagavad Gita is very, very important. Okay. So without elevation of knowledge, the sacrifices are simply material activities, no matter how many people you fed. Yeah. No matter, how many austerities you did, how many, Yakadasis or Chaturmasyas, okay, you follow strict austerities. Hiranyakashipu also followed, isn't it? 60,000 years of tapasya without eating anything, standing on the tip of the toe of his leg, on a single leg, raising his hands up. He also, practiced. Even that is even more difficult. So that's why the real knowledge is important. Prabhupada mentioned, when Prabhupada asked the devotees, like you go to Pakistan and preach Krishna consciousness. Some brahmacharis, Maharaj, Prabhupada, it is very difficult to, to be vegetarian there in these Muslim countries. Like that. Then Prabhupada said, okay, then you eat whatever you can. But you give the knowledge. It doesn't mean Prabhupada asked them to eat meat. We need to understand this statement. So giving Krishna conscious knowledge to others is very, very important. That is a real transcendental service. All those problems Krishna will facilitate you, okay, to overcome. Okay, so that's a Krishna. Prabhupada mentioned, like, you eat whatever you can, you eat whatever is available, but you preach Krishna consciousness. It means the importance of giving Krishna's knowledge, Krishna's instructions to others is high priority. Yeah, even Ekadashi is also, I heard many times, maybe, I think again Prabhupada mentioned, like, if you want, you eat, but you go outside and distribute books. So instead of staying at home doing Nirjala, since I am doing Nirjala, I feeling very weak. No, I don't want to go out. Instead of that one, you take prasadam, Ekadashi prasadam, up to full tummy, but go out and give the knowledge to others. Understand? So that is the real knowledge. This is the real knowledge. So real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness. That is the real knowledge. You may be between thousands of people, you may be between lakhs of people, and everyone is opposing your practice in Krishna consciousness. But think, just like how Arjuna said, Krishna, you stay with me. I don't want your Narayani Sena. I want you. Okay. Maybe, thousands and lakhs and crores of people may be against you because you are following Krishna consciousness. But Krishna is with you. Okay. That gives you perfection. So this faith, this type of faith in Krishna, just like how Arjuna had the faith when he has given two options to choose. Yeah, Arjuna had chosen Krishna. Arjuna said, okay, I don't want Narayani Sena. And all Pandavas also felt happy. Yudhishthira did not say, hey, you are a fool. You are not a clever man. No. Why can't you choose Narayani Sena? No, because they are all devotees, isn't it? So that is the real knowledge. Having that faith is the real knowledge. Okay. So depending on differences in consciousness, sacrifices are sometimes called karma kanda and sometimes jnana kanda. It is better when the end is knowledge. So I hope you understand the clear picture, because this is very, very important in our practice. This is where when we compare with other spiritualists or transcendentalists, when we compare our practice with other transcendentalists, we look higher or better. Yeah. So we need to understand. We need to understand these differences. It's very, very important. Otherwise, we feel like we are practicing some dharmic type of life, okay, spiritual life, but it will not help really on spiritual platform. Yeah, material it may be. That's what Prabhupada mentioned. No? You may advance materially, but not spiritually. So having obtained the real knowledge from self-realized soul, okay, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by knowledge, you will see that all living beings are part of Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Okay, I think we, better than mere sacrificing material. 33, okay, 34. Just try to learn the truth by approaching spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So after 33, where Krishna mentioned, O chastiser of enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than the mere sacrifice of material possessions. So all sacrifices of work culminate the transcendental knowledge. Okay. After this one, Krishna is saying, my dear Arjuna, that is why, then you may ask a question, then how do I know the sacrifice I am performing is the right sacrifice or not? Okay, Krishna here mentioned some sacrifices help only on material platform. Yeah, but how do I know? Yes, Krishna is saying, try to learn the truth by approaching spiritual master. Tatvidhi pranipataya pariprasnena sevaya. That is the verse here. Very, very famous verse. Tatvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Upadekshanti te gnanam gnaninas tattva darsinaha. So how to understand? Oh, so many sacrifices. Vedas are saying something. Okay. Now how to understand? Yeah. So you approach spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively, not challenging, not in a challenging mode. Submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. When you approach spiritual master, since they have seen the truth, they have experienced this truth. Yeah. Since they are the self-realized souls, they will guide you. Like last time, Sumatra Mataji asked the question, no? How do we know? Like, bare necessities. Yeah, bare necessities. How do we know? We discussed it. Like in this mentorship system, all these things. Yeah, we have sannyasis, visit our temple regularly. We can take their guidance, like that. Because they are the self-realized souls. So they will understand, how the world is changing. And they will guide us, accordingly. Like that. So I hope, so today's content is very, very important. Yeah. I again humbly request you, please go through these verses. We discussed till 34. Please go through the purport given by Srila Prabhupada. And any questions, please make a note. We will discuss. It's 9 o'clock sharp. I am stopping here. We'll continue further next Monday. If you switch on your videos, I will take your darshan. Thank you, Viraj Prabhu. Thank you, Satish Prabhu. Thank you, Sundar Mataji. Thank you, Praneshwar Prabhu and Bhuneshwari Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jill. Madhavi Mataji, can you switch on your video? We will take your darshan. Okay, so Sumudra Premadhatri Mataji, you stay online after the class. Sita want to speak to you. Sumudra Mataji, can we have darshan of deities?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Mataji. What is that color, Mataji? Gaurav,
Sky blue.
sky blue. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Mataji. Okay, anyone wants to give the darshan of their deities? Okay, we'll take darshan of Radha Gokula. Gaurnitai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. Radha Gokula. Okay, thank you very much. Please go through the purport once again. This is these are very beautiful instructions, you know. The real knowledge from Krishna. And we will meet again next Monday. Okay. So thank you. I will stop recording.